Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action, and today we are back once again with the Empire, and look at those state troops, they are ready to go. We're going to be, they are rather going to be taking on the Dwarves, and we've got some nice, fun meme builds here, so let's go ahead and take a look for the Empire. We've got lots of handgunners, some Empire Knights, swordsmen up the main line, and of course Volkmar the Grim up on his chariot here. We've got a Witch Hunter, and we've also got over here Jade Wizard and a Steam Tank. Yes, indeed, pretty decent against the Dwarves, not too terrible. And we've also got some more handgunners and Empire Knights. For the Dwarves, they are going to be led by a Rune Lord on a toilet seat, his anti-magic toilet here. We've also got the Goblobber and a Flame Cannon, so the Dwarves also bringing some flaming memes to the table. Definitely going to be a fun time. We've also, got Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, regular Dwarf Warriors, Longbeards, smattering of Thunderers as well. Typical Dwarf army. We've also got some Dragonback Slayers in the back, some Miners scattered around as well. So, yeah, watching for some sneaky Vanguard, but there was no sneaky Vanguard in this particular Empire army here. You can see the Steam Tank going to pull up on station, start to open up shots here over this little bit of a slope. Maybe. Oh, yep. How about that downhill shot? Looks like it sails over the heads of those Dawi there. Not 100%. Probably shooting at these Thunderers here. But the Dwarves are on an interesting positioning here. They are on a bit of a downhill slope, which could potentially be tough. But it also does mean that they're going to be able to use their guns to kind of fire uphill relatively effectively as well. So we'll see. Certainly a bit of give and take there. But the Empire just going for a full surround at this point. You can see they're kind of moving in on a full envelopment. They've got a couple of different kind of functional groups out to the wings. And then this mainline force here that's going to be pushing up. So we'll see. Should be interesting. The Goblobber's continuing to pop off shots here. And it is going to be making pretty solid contact with these handgunners here. Of course I say that. And none of those guys actually make contact. But here we go. Screaming Goblin flying through the air. Again, bit of a miss. So far hasn't connected on a single shot. I don't think. Well, nope, not quite. A little bit unfortunate there, but the Flame Cannon is just about in range as well, so maybe we'll watch as this side opens up. Empire just trying to get into position here, being very patient not to rush in prematurely, but now finally a couple solid hits from the Goblobber there, and you can see the Steam Tank going to try and take a side shot here on those Dwarf Warriors in the distance. Does make some solid contact there, actually does a pretty solid amount of damage. Meanwhile though, the Flame Cannon opening up shots, and this is going to hurt indeed. Ooh, brutal shot on those handgunners. Doesn't quite do as much to the Empire Knights, but just blowing up quite a few handgunners there. And yeah, this advance over on this flank is going to have a pretty tough time because of that Flame Cannon. Not a whole lot to shut that down right immediately. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Goblobber finally getting some consistent hits here on these handgunners as the frontline engagement starts to get underway. You can see Volkmar in the distance there kind of collapsing down the hill as these handgunners just get blasted by blasting charges. So plenty of fire and flames on both sides. Finally, the handgunners in a good downhill position to start firing. These Miners, these Dwarf Warriors, probably going to get shredded here. Meanwhile, Dwarf Warriors fighting State Troops. State Troops will actually trade relatively cost-effectively with Dwarf Warriors. Those two are probably the most effective low-tier troops in the game, Dwarf Warriors and State Troop Swordsmen. But with the support of Volkmar here in the center, the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass will have a bit of a tough time. Meanwhile, over in the distance here, you can see these two handgunners actually pulled back from the advance on that Flame Cannon. A group of Empire Swordsmen was able to get through the front line, and the Flame Cannon crew actually had to drop their artillery and flee, or tactically retreat, rather. But, yeah, you can see a little bit of crossfire coming in from the Dwarves, trying to take down Volkmar as he disrupts this center pocket, drawing in a whole bunch of forces here. And meanwhile, these handgunners, because they're a little bit faster than the Dwarves, will be able to kind of kite and fight here. The Miners, obviously, are going to be able to respond with some blasting charges, which is going to hurt. But nonetheless, they're at least drawing those two units away from the battle, which in and of itself is relatively useful. Empire Knights, having swept all the way up and around and managed to outmaneuver those Dragonback Slayers, going to come shut down that Goblobber and shut down the Flame Cannon crew as well, who had been caught up by the Swordsmen. So we'll watch this Hammer and Anvil strike on this hapless Dwarven artillery crew. Flame Cannon. You know it's got to take a special Dawi to be a Flame Cannon crewman. But anyway, Dwarf Warriors with 3 weapons also rushing in here to support, so the Empire Knights are going to have to pull away, and those Swordsmen are going to now get surrounded by Dragonback Slayers as well. So while they did provide a very glorious stoppage to the Flame Cannon, it looks like Volkmar trying to support those Swordsmen so they don't get completely swamped. Those Empire Knights probably going to get dragged down. Meanwhile, though, this flank going very well for the Empire. You can see the handgunners able to push through, and with the artillery being shut down, there's not a lot of counterfire because the Thunders are obviously focused on the Empire Knights here. The Witch Hunters pushing up and around. The frontline engagement, though, what initially it seemed pretty favorable for the Empire with Volkmar's support, the Swordsmen will lose out in the end. They are slightly cheaper, and obviously the Dwarves have better armor, so not too surprising there, but nonetheless, the state troops did trade very cost effectively, able to just about win out this flank engagement here. They might still do. But looks like those miners were able to catch one of the units of handgunners, the other one trying to reunify with the forces here in the center. Meanwhile, the steam tank being used in melee here, pushing forward on these Longbeards, just running over a few of them and providing some nice terror bombs as well, soaking some hits from those Thunderers there in the distance. Nope, actually looks like it's friendly fire from the handgunners. That's just amazing. Jade Wizard comes in, able to help rout off some of those Dwarf Warriors. Longbeard's obviously immune to psychology, so they won't be routed off by the terror necessarily, but they still will, take quite a bit of heat from the crossfire of those handgunners. Empire Knights rushing in to clean up. There's a little bit of Dwarf pocket here with some Thunders still online in the late game, so, and not completely out of the woods, definitely looking in favor of the Empire at this moment, though. These Empire Knights did get a good charge in here, but they are going to get trapped in by the Dragonback Slayers now, so a little bit of a rough situation. And oh man, you see that guy just come in with a flying karate kick to like break that horse's spine? Oh man, oh man, I love the Slayers, man. Their animations are just amazing. That flying karate kick just breaking a horse's back. Oh man, the crossfire though still pretty real at this point. You can see the the steam tank is like, hey, I'm a part of this formation also. I'm going to pull up and also shoot. Talk about combined arms right there, huh? Yep. And it is going to be very painful for the Dawi. We can see a regrowth also going to be going down on the steam tank as well. Volkmar is soaking a lot of hits, but it looks like a bit of friendly fire from the steam tank as well, potentially. He's taking quite a bit of damage here from the Rune Lord and from those Dragonback Slayers, providing a good crossfire opportunity for the Empire, but you can see the other Dwarven infantry trying to advance on the Empire guns and break them apart. Definitely fire superiority is going to probably carry the day here for the Empire. It's looking pretty rough for the Dwarfs at this point, but yeah, these handgunners going to have to be careful. We've got some uphill charging Longbeards. The Swordsmen try and interrupt in their flank, but unfortunately it's not quite enough to fully interrupt their charge. And now this unit of Dwarf Warriors is going to get a bit surrounded as they get rear charged by the steam tank. They should get terrified away relatively quickly. Point blank fire from the handgunners. Actually, it looks like they're shooting over in the distance closer to Volkmar. Volkmar, again, taking some friendly fire, but that Jade Griffin, very key, keeping him online in the late game, obviously, giving him that healing. You can see also the Empire Knights providing a nice screen here. The Dragonback Slayers are still online, and the Rune Lord is as well, but for the most part, the rest of the Dawi forces are pretty much done for. We've got a few tattered units around. Looks like there's some relatively healthy Longbeards, and those Longbeards and Miners that had been on a wild goose chase are just about back in the fight as well. But yeah, things are definitely looking pretty low for the Dawi. And some nice fire on those Slayers, taking them down. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. Volkmar charging through the guns, going to be responding, probably going to be able to terrify away these Dwarf Warriors relatively quickly here. Looks like Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin perhaps on those handgunners, which is an interesting target. Maybe would have wanted to save it and use it potentially to catch one of these other units, but yeah, the steam tank point blank firing on these Slayers here. The steam gun will do quite a bit of damage, and obviously the main cannon will as well. Jade Wizard runs in to decapitate a few of them, and then the steam tank will run over the last couple here. So yeah, it's going to be the end for the Slayers, unfortunately. And that will leave this Rune Lord a bit exposed. Now, the Rune Lord, just as a side note here, does have heavy missile and magic resistance. If we look here, he's got 55% magic resistance because of the Locust Power in his baseline. He's also got 35% missile resistance, so the Witch Hunter's missile attacks, because they do magic damage, are basically going to do almost no damage to the Rune Lord. That's why I think taking him on the anvil in particular in this battle, in this particular matchup, I should say, is not that risky of a pick because of that extra magic and missile resistance. Things like the Hammer of Witches, you know, Silver Bullets, Witch Hunters aren't going to do a whole lot against a Rune Lord on a chair. So yeah, he's going to run in here. Unfortunately, the Steam Tank will be able to run over a lot of these remaining Longbeards here, as the Empire heroes kind of force a little bit of a blob. But Steam Tank obviously going to have to be careful he doesn't get dragged down by the Rune Lord and get too isolated here, but got some regrouped handgunners over here, side-shotting and taking down quite a few of those dwarves. Wow, that was a nasty volley there. Those guys must have been very low on HP. Jade Wizard also charges in to take out a few models, and yeah, it's not looking great for the dwarves at this point. They are responding with some blasting charges here, trying to drag down those handgunners, but not going to quite be enough. And how about that like green snow effect because of the flames? That's quite interesting. But yeah, Dwarves getting closer and closer to critical army losses. They have managed to chase off a few of the handgunners on the high ground, but again, the crossfire from Rightist here, I believe, is playing the Empire. Very key positioning. And yeah, unfortunately, these handgunners are going to have to stand and fight for a moment, but some side shots from their compatriots here should see off those Dwarves. You can see a couple headshots going down there. And yeah, it's going to be it, more or less. I keep saying that, and the dwarves, of course, just continue to fight on, being dwarves, but, oh man, that Witch Hunter was charging in just all angry and just got staggered, absolutely staggered there. Yeah, he's going to get stagger locked probably by these Longbeards. This may not be the best idea for him, but, man, again, the flying head kick from the Dawi, you know, shield bashing, just chopping with their axes. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough. You can see the duel of the fates here between Volkmar and the Rune Lord, with the support of the Steam Tank, of course. Volkmar probably going to be able to win this. It's a little bit of a confusing fight, as the horses mostly just like try and rip out the Longbeard's hairs, and then the Rune Lord just bops him on the head. But the Steam Tank going to detach, go after these Longbeards here, try and finish them off as well. And yeah, we'll be able to do some good anti-infantry armor piercing. They did recently buff, in one of the more recent patches, the weapon strength of the Steam Tank. Still doesn't have the best combat stats, but the weapon strength being buffed does help out a little bit here. 140 armor piercing damage isn't absolutely terrible. So yeah, it also has an okay charge bonus. Well, I say okay, 80 is actually quite good. So if you do in fact use it as a chariot a little bit, it can do some decent damage against armored infantry like this, and of course having the steam gun also helps. Still feel like the Steam Tank is probably a little bit expensive for what you get out of it, but definitely a fun tool to use in a multitude of matchups, and it is going to help carry the day here for the Empire. So very well played to both players, Rightist and Sarmatian, both very good players, bringing a couple of more fun builds this time. Certainly not the most competitive builds, but at the end of the day, Rightist with the Steam Tank there. Steam Tank is memes, but it also can be pretty meta in certain matchups. This one, the High Elves, there are a couple of others where I might bring the Steam Tank and call it meta pick, but 160 kills, 2 XP chevrons, absolutely excellent work. The handgunners also, for the most part, did quite well. The one got chased off by, no, sorry guys, the one got chased off by miners there. The other one's 67, 69, 69, 76, so all excellent kill numbers. 83 on the Witch Hunter. Swordsman, one of them got 73 kills, that's pretty impressive, but the rest of them, 59's not too bad as well. Kind of got run over a little bit. 53 on Volkmar is pretty decent. For Sarmatian's Dwarves, Dwarf Warriors doing quite well on the front line, obviously. 92 kills on the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. The Thunderers managed to get some good work in on Volkmar. Unfortunately, weren't able to take down the Steam Tank or the Empire Knights fully. The Flame Cannon, obviously, a bit of a fun pick, was able to do some okay damage, but it's rarely going to pay for itself. And the Goblobber, surprisingly inaccurate in that initial phase, and maybe if it had been a bit more accurate there, they could have broken up that advance on that the left side, or the right side for the Empire, left side for the Dwarves, and maybe it would have been a little bit easier, maybe with that flank collapsing, maybe a little bit less hard. I don't know, it's hard to say, but still, nonetheless, very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.